This is your diamond insight of a nation held at ransom, the cost of political standoff. For 13 days, Zambia has waited. Since the passing of 6th Republican President Edgar Chagwa Lungu on June 5, 2025, the nation has yearned for unity, dignity, love and closure. But yet again, on June 18th, the planned repatriation of his remains has failed. Delayed by unresolved standoffs between the state and the late president's family and his former party, the PF, Zambia is now being held hostage not by war, not by disaster, but by political indecision wrapped in the guise of family wishes. What should have been a moment of solemn national reflection has instead descended into a display of ego, power and public embarrassment. While leaders on both sides have spoken of peace and love, their actions have delivered the opposite. The ordinary Zambian has watched helplessly as grief has been politicized and mourning turned into a strategic tug of war. Preparations were made, military lined up, Mulungushi Conference Center ready, Kenneth Kaunda International Airport stood in wait, but Zambia stood still. The cost of this standoff is not just financial, wasted logistics, extended mourning and disrupted schedules, but deeply moral. It is a cost paid in national dignity. How do we as a nation explain to the watching world that our country, known for peace and unity, cannot find agreement in 13 days on how to bury a former head of state? How do we as a country justify the diplomatic confusion such as that caused to South Africa's red carpet guard of honor mobilized for a reception that never came in honor of former President Lungu? Where is the leadership? Where is the courage to rise above partisan politics, protocol and private agendas, to lead, not to politicize, to comfort and not to posture? The Bible reminds us in Hebrews chapter 3 verses 8, and I quote, "Do not harden your hearts as you did in the rebellion," end of quote. And in Ephesians, the word of God also says in chapter 4 verse 32 that let us be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, and just as Christ forgave you. It further says in Romans that vengeance is for the Lord alone. This moment is not just about a funeral for a Christian nation, it is about the soul of our nation. Even in a situation where former heads of state, the clergy, and others have spoken, one wonders, why should hearts on both sides be hardened to give President Lungu a dignified send-off? When public decisions are made behind closed doors, when grief is hijacked by political motives, we lose more than time, we lose trust. Zambians are indeed tired, vanaka, tired of the delays, tired of the power plays, tired of being caught in the middle of a situation that should have brought us together, not driven us further apart. So we ask again, whose interests are truly being served? Certainly not those of the ordinary Zambian public, certainly not of that of President Lungu, who regardless of his political views deserves a dignified and a timely farewell. It is time for leaders on all sides to step back, reflect and act with humility. This is a moment for compassion and not control, for unity, not ego. The funeral of a former president is not a political event. It is a national milestone, one that calls for respect, maturity and shared purpose. And once again, we like to refer to the Bible in Ecclesiastes that says that indeed there is a time for everything, a time to be born and a time to die. And there, even after death, there are people who continue and life does go on in remembrance of those that have left us. So indeed, as even we bid farewell to President Lungu, Zambia indeed deserves better. Its people deserve better. And he himself, President Lungu in death, deserves the peace and dignity that continues to elude this process.